What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already. Man, it's going to be tough to try to get that 6th seed for the Clippers. It's going to come down to the wire. The Clippers are right there. The Timberwolves are number 7. The Grizzlies are number 6. The Warriors are number 5 with maybe like a game, 2 games ahead in the loss column. But the Grizzlies, the Timberwolves, and the Clippers all have the same amount of losses. So the Clippers are going to have to do their best to just pretty much win out to get that 6th seed. And you got to hope that the Timberwolves lose at least 2 games within their next several games before the season ends. Probably the same with the Grizzlies because, well, then again, I'd say the Clippers have the advantage over the Grizzlies. I would say that I think the Clippers have the tiebreaker over the Grizzlies, if I'm not sure. I know they won the last match they played. So that would help the Clippers out a lot. It'd definitely be better even if the Warriors dropped a couple of games. And the crazy thing is the Clippers, one of their last games they play is against the Warriors. So, I mean, that's going to be a huge game as far as seeding implementation for the Clippers. And they're going to have to really play their very best. Now, if the Clippers win, let's say their next 4 straight games and 2 out of those 3 teams between the Grizzlies, Timberwolves, and Warriors lose 2 games out of their next 4 or 5 games, then of course the Clippers would probably secure a playoff spot. But that's a big if, and this part of the season, it's tough because everybody's fighting for that positioning. And this is the one thing I never wanted the Clippers to be in. I hate it for the Clippers. I hate it for Kawhi because you're using so much energy to try to just get into the playoffs so you can have that little bit of gap, that rest, so you don't have to go into the play-in tournament and fight for your life and then make it to the playoffs and then never really get that rest because for the Clippers and Kawhi's sake, availability and injuries have been a problem for this team. So out of all those teams out of the teams I named, the Warriors, Timberwolves, Grizzlies, Clippers, the Clippers need to they need to get a playoff spot the most because their superstar is injured the most. So, I mean, it's imperative that the Clippers get a playoff spot to give Kawhi a little bit of rest. And I hate to say that because, the Clippers are playing very good right now, but it can all come to an end if Kawhi's health doesn't sustain. And it's really hard to believe that his health is sustained from a play-in tournament all the way to how far ever they can make it into the playoffs if they were able to get that far, if Kawhi can hold up. But at the same time, it's reality. And I hate it for the Clippers. I hate it for Kawhi to be in this position trying to fight for this last seeding because, like I said, they're using so much energy to get in. They might be gassed by the time they get to the playoffs and ready to play a team, ready to go and things like that because you had to fight all the way to the end of the season. You couldn't even give yourself a rest like some teams can, like in the 4th or 5th, like the 4th seed or somewhere in there. They may could rest the last couple games of the season and go into the playoffs, which gives them extra rest because their seeding is locked up. Now, of course, we know Kawhi has been out most of the season and it was hard for them to lock up a seeding, but even though they played very well without Kawhi being there, but still it just took so much out of them and it's taking so much out of the Clippers right now to fight and keep going. They've been impressive, like 11 out of the last 13 games. They've been impressive, winning and being the best they could be, but it's just tough for the team overall because you hate seeing them fight, and claw at the very end like they've been doing the last couple seasons just to make sure they get a seeding spot. And it really sucks for them because, like I said, this team needs all the rest they can get. Even last year when they had Paul George and, Russell Westbrook, they were fighting near the end just to make sure they get that playoff seeding because Kawhi went out and injuries came again. And it's like the same old thing with this team all the time. So you just really hope, this season is different. You hope that Kawhi can stay healthy this season because honestly, this might be the end of the road for Kawhi Leonard as far as the Clippers, like as far as him being in the forefront of the Clippers and maybe even being on the team if he doesn't get it done, or at least if he doesn't stay healthy throughout the playoffs. I think if he stays healthy throughout the playoffs and the Clippers lose in the playoff series, hypothetically, it would be a lot different rather than him not being available once again. And that's several years back to back where his availability has been questionable in the biggest moment in the playoffs when he's really at his best in the playoffs based upon his career. So, I mean, it's a lot riding on this team. It's a lot riding on Kawhi Leonard. They put all their chips in, cashed in. You know, they got to try to find a way. They really do. And I'm going to need Ty Lue to coach the best he's ever coached if the Clippers get in the playoffs and try to make some noise. He's going to have to be the best coach he's ever been, even better than what he was with the Cleveland Cavaliers, where basically basically LeBron James and Kyrie won that championship for him. They were down 3-1 in the finals, even though, you know, they played good up to that point. But still, he's going to have to coach the best he's ever coached for this team to go far, because there's going to be some adjustments he's going to have to make against these teams in the West. The West is stacked. You're playing against teams that have size. You're playing against teams that, you know, have younger talent. And you're playing against teams that are just as hungry, if not more hungry. So, I mean, the coach is going to have to be top-notch if they get to the playoffs. Kawhi's going to have to be healthy and top-notch, which we know he would be if he is healthy. And James Harden's going to have to be not so much of a turnover machine. You know, he's going to have to really assist the ball at a high level and not have many turnovers, along with the team, not having many turnovers. And Zubac's going to have to continue doing what he's doing. But before all that happens, they got to try to find a way to secure a playoff spot. And honestly, they really just need to win out. To put themselves in the best position, just win out. Because, and I say that sparingly, because the Clippers got to go in every game. Just make sure you put your all into every single game. And really, as I said in my previous video, Kawhi really can't miss any more games. For them to win, for them to win out the rest of the season, the rest of the games they have left, Kawhi has to play every single one. And I know that's daunting because, you know, you worry about his health, but you worry about his health more if you have to come from a play-in tournament and go all the way the distance, try to get to the finals on Kawhi's knees, rather than at least try to get that playoff spot where he can rest a few days and maybe go at it that way. That'd be the Clippers' best shot. And I know I've said in my last video, and I know some of y'all might disagree, but Kawhi really has to play every single game the rest of the season. If it's 5-6 games left, he got to play all of them. He can't really miss any, because, I mean, you lose a game or two, you're going to be in the 8th seed regardless, but it's an uphill battle. And I don't want to see the Clippers in that, because hypothetically, if they get into the play-in tournament and Kawhi plays good the one game or something like that in the play-in tournament, or let's say they lose one game in the play-in tournament and now you got to play a second game, now you dig yourself even deeper. You don't want to risk that chance, is what I'm saying. So, and like I said, I understand some people may disagree, and we can talk about it always, but honestly, the Clippers just need to win out and hope that other teams lose 2 out of their next, 4 or 5 games, and hopefully the Clippers can get in by default or however they need to do it. But they really need that playoff spot way more than any of those other teams I just named, just because of their health issues and their availability issues and the question marks around this team now, especially. So they've been playing great. Hopefully they can sustain that. I like the pieces they got in the trade deadline, but it's only really going to all materialize the way it's supposed to if they're healthy.